Passionate Logic.
New ideas and efficient tools for a happier, more connected life.
Most of us have triggers. We have button issues and things that we respond viscerally and immediately to. If you don't want to be trapped in that reactive cycle of someone does that thing, you react, and then there's usually some negative consequences, here's something you can actually do. And Troy and I both have slightly different approaches to this. So we'll lay out both of them, and then whichever one clicks more with you, you can try that one out. One way you can approach this is write down whatever it is that you get triggered by. Maybe it's when someone calls you a certain name or says a certain thing or talks about something, or maybe you don't like being touched in a certain way, or whatever it is that triggers you, or that you have very strong. The stronger ones are in some ways easier because they're easier to recall. If you have a strong trigger, a strong response to something, you can write down, what are the things I'm triggered most by? And then you can look at it and go, well, why do I do that? What is it that I'm defending, or what is it that I'm responding to or believing? You can go, what is it that's causing me to do that? And then you can look at that and say, how would I rather respond when someone does that thing that makes me upset, reactive? What would I rather do? In order to solve a problem, the first thing you do is define what the problem is and where you want to go. And so that gives you a good basic framework for here's the things that I don't like that I'm doing and where I can go with them.
And the point I would like to add to Mark's process is the part between how you currently react and how you would like to respond might be a deeper investigation into what your mind is doing with that from the trip from here to here. That would be adding in a couple of things. One would be, what is it that your trigger or your button is, like Mark said? What's your current reaction to that response?
Like physically in your body?
Physically in your body is the part that I want you to write down, is what are you sensing when that happens? If this person says or does that thing that you really don't like, what's going on in here? Is it a kicked in the gut feeling? Is it a bowling ball dropped in there? Is it tightness in your chest? Is it your heart stops or your heart goes faster? Do you get shallow breath, or do you stop breathing, or do you have a tightness or a lump in your throat? Do you have a clenched jaw? Like these, what are the physical things that are going on in your body? List them. The person said something, you have this negative reaction going on, you want to know what the physical feelings are, because those physical feelings are going to be a better memory to what your mind was saying about that, whether the event was a week or 2 weeks ago, but then also what other events it's connected to all the way back to your beginning. Then, now that you have those physical feelings written down, you put yourself back in that moment, visualizing it, and then you say, okay, what's my mind saying about 3 categories? The judgments on myself, the judgments on the other person, and the judgments on life. You might drop right into core beliefs. Usually that takes more training, but you will get to what your mind was saying about yourself. That's usually not true. About the other person, that's usually not true. And about life itself, that's usually not true. And a big one on life is it's unfair. Or that life should be different, right? That person shouldn't have died. Truth is, they did die. And then you have these feelings that you just didn't like it. And then how would you like to respond? Like Mark said. And then visualize yourself having that.
Our egos are a protective mechanism. They were designed to keep us safe back when there were regular physical dangers, where you might go outside and get attacked by someone or something, and the world was constantly dangerous instead of occasionally dangerous. And now it has a couple downsides. One is that in order to make us respond to those scary things that might happen to us, there might be a snake in that hole, so it would create a vivid image of a snake coming out and biting you to make you avoid that hole and not be careless. But now it tends to exaggerate, as we've talked about a bunch before, of making things that we view as negatives and scary and making them very big so that you respond to them. But now that those things aren't physical dangers, there aren't holes with snakes in them commonly. It's emails and text messages and conversations with coworkers and things we see on TV. It still responds as strongly, believing it's protecting us. One of the things it does to try to protect us too is tries to control the future. And the way it does that is by making the present look as much like the past as possible. Even if the past is awful and you're having a horrible experience, maybe an abusive relationship or a job that you despise or a habit that's really unhealthy, you have those things, but they're comfortable and they're familiar, and the ego at least knows what happens with those. At least my significant other only beats me once a month. Maybe if I left them, I'd have no food, or maybe I'd find another partner that beat me once a week. So instead, it goes, okay, we're just going to stay with this because we know this. It's predictable, it's regular, it's consistent.
Thank you for watching our video.
If you like the video, please subscribe.
Please like.
Please leave a comment below. Thank you so much.